Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to League of Europe for the first time in 2023. We are here for F1 action, even Division 1 action, Season 9, Round 1 of the Championship as we take in the British Grand Prix from the Silverstone International Circuit. My name is James Head, back for an 8th season, becoming part of the furniture, as always, in Division 1, and joining me in the commentary box, probably as old as me, probably been part of the furniture longer than me as well, it is Mr. Old School. Old School, how you doing?
I'm really good. This is the first full-time gig I've got in D1, so I'm looking forward to being your trusty coach. I'm looking forward to seeing a full season with quite a different grid compared to last season. Some returning faces, as we were kind of talking about before the stream, but also some brand new ones as well.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, obviously, with the likes of Slinky and Sally coming in, brand new drivers. Rick, of course, returning to F1. Matthias also doing the same as well. He's part of the QVR team now, so he's returning back to F1. I honestly think, on paper, this is probably, with Montana gone, because I can see him in the comment section, this is probably the most wide-open Division 1 I think we've ever had.
100%, yeah, and we've got a couple of people missing today that I think will be key players. Some people like Alp, which will be interesting to see how he gets on. But yeah, there's a few tips I've had for early season favourites. People like Jensen, who's back. Also, he had a small break. I think he was delving into the world of PC. But yeah, quite a few others as well. Wouter, Alp, as mentioned. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and then even Campbell potentially, who's gone close, always been the bridesmaid, but never quite the bride.
Never quite. Yeah, never quite the bride, but hopefully going to become the bride rather than the bridesmaid, hopefully, in this season of F1. I've certainly got off the bat with Campbell as well and actually predict them for the race win tonight. So Campbell, don't let me down, because there are 5 points available for whatever prediction is right, because me, Mark, and a candidate chosen from Division 1, a driver chosen from Division 1 each week, we are going to have a competition throughout. It's very exciting. It's like Mark Lawrence and John Motson style match of the day commentary back in the day. Always good to see. And obviously here at the home of British Motorsport, the home of motor racing here at Silverstone as well. Looking through the drivers that we do have this season as well, I've got the graphics up. Even though they haven't been done the way I like them, I'm going to have to flick through them regardless. Killer and Gary are in the Red Bull, as Sally has already left the session. Hopefully he can get back in. So Killer and Gary in the Red Bull. Nathan and Campbell in the Ferrari, which is a very interesting pairing. Rocco and Slash there in the McLaren. In the Mercedes, we have Jensen and Selly. As I've already mentioned, he's just there, left the session. Packer and Verstappen, interestingly, teaming up in the Alpine as well, with Rick and Jekyll in the Alfa Romeo. In the Aston Martin, it is Dari and Kriko, who I don't think is here, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's getting filled in for tonight. Dari certainly is, Slinky being the reserve for him. Matthias and Alp in the AlphaTauri as full-time drivers. Of course, Alp is not here tonight as well, so FER Your comes in as a reserve man. And also, I've just figured out that I can actually flick through other tweets on Twitter, but there we are. Pease and Yulbream in the hat, and then the final team, of course, is Williams, and that is Izza and Wouter. And looking at those pairings, Mark, very interesting pairings first and foremost, but we're so used to seeing Campbell and Verstappen teaming up. That's the big shock, because they've split apart for this season.
Yeah, they've always been teammates pretty much wherever they've gone. So it's actually quite nice to see them on different teams. But looking at that, the early running of the Mercedes partnership looks, by all accounts, to be quite fearsome. But Nathan is the first man out on track today, as this weather looks very overcast. So, but not everyone's in a massive rush to get out. So I assume there isn't going to be any rain shenanigans.
Yeah, I assume with Nathan being on a set of softs early on as well, it might be the case where we either get a tale of two halves, really, where drivers come out on a set of soft compounded tyres and there's rain, of course, forecast a bit later on in the session, and then, of course, there'll be the intermediate running, and maybe we'll see some drivers out on those intermediates. If not, it should be a full dry session, and if that is, of course, we should see the sun coming out around about 10 minutes left to go, possibly within the session. Normally it's about a 10-minute weather period, so around 8 minutes, I think, somewhere around that time as well, you'll see the weather change in this session. As Nathan now comes through, Chapel on the run down in towards Stowe, of course. I'm going to have to keep my wits about me, certainly, and remember these corner names as we go along. But he's got an Alpine right close to him. Now, I wonder if that's Verstappen actually behind him, or is it Packer?
Yes, potentially. I was just looking in some of the comments as well. Montana's in a party with Selly, and his game crashed, so he should be fine to get back. Tell you one partnership that I'm very interested in is Creco and is it Tote? I think is it Creco
Darry, I think.
Darry, yeah. I used to race against them in D3, so great to see them up here.
Now, I used to race against Darry in F2 back in the day in League of Europe, where I led 8 of 9 laps in Belgium. But there we are. That was the last time you ever saw me in League of Europe on a racetrack, which is for certain. Let these guys do it, I think, is probably the better thing. As Nathan now comes down the Wellington straight into the middle, into the first sector split. 27.4 through the first sector from the Ferraris. Now comes through Brooklands and then in towards Luffield through the right-hander, of course, where Aidan Carter sat at the British Grand Prix on the left-hand side, and also at the British touring cars as well. Nathan now coming through the right-hander of Woodcut on the run down in towards the old turn number 1 at Copse, not Stowe, as I was going to say there, but now coming through Copse on board with them in towards Maggots and Beckett. But we have seen people going side by side in there in the past, maybe a sign of things to come potentially in the race. But this has looked a really nice hot lap from Nathan so far. Probably a 103.2 in the middle sector. Yeah, 103.2 dead on in the middle sector, exactly where you want to be on this lap on your first run around here at Silverstone. And Nathan is looking very, very confident on this lap. I think he actually was up in there in the top 3 last season, if I'm not mistaken, in qualifying. So Nathan, obviously, he's going to provide a good shot out on track in towards Vale and then in towards Club Corner at the final corner. He catches the curb too much through 17, through 18, knock about 0.3 of a second off his time, and that would have been a 27 flat, I think, but a 27.3 that's off the night. He's quicker than Packer, though, for now, as Jeroen now goes quickest with a 27 flat.
Yeah, great stuff from Jeroen, and yeah, like you say, there's plenty of time there for Packer.
There is indeed. Campbell out on top. Yildirim second. Jeroen there in third. Campbell now going quickest with that 26.7. Selly is back in the session, luckily. He's on a lap as well. Being touted the next Montana, perhaps, is Selly. I think he's part of the NSX team, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And, to be fair, in the middle sector, it's a 102.9. Are you serious? In the middle sector already? Very, very quick from Selly, as he now comes through into the right hand. I have put down a prediction, by the way, of P10 for Selly out on track tonight. So, if that is not going to be the case, Selly might go P1 potentially here as he comes down through Vale and in towards Club Corner, looking very good indeed on this lap, on the run to the line, and that 10th position's already gone completely up in my estimation. Selly out on top, Campbell in second, Yildirim there in third. Selly, I have a feeling, might be mirroring as Montana at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy lap. 26.6 as a starter. And all 17 drivers getting off the board / not, and Izza coming round. I think come out late, so for whatever reason.
Yeah, Celestin Invalid actually, I think he picked up an invalidation coming through Brooklands, and Izzat has done the same thing as well. Coming through that part of the track, he was slow in the first sector anyways, it was 28 flat in the first sector. Of course, Izzat, who did put up a really good performance in EML Premier 1 during the week as well. He finished, in the end, I think it was 8th, but he had a spin very late on, cost him a podium, and Izzat surely is going to be up there, I would imagine, in the later stages of qualifying. But it's Selly out on top, Campbell in second, Yildirim there in third. Looking through the comment section as well, Luke saying Izzat is winning tonight, which is good to see. He's there, still down in 19th position, obviously with a lap time on the board. Somebody else that hasn't got a lap time on the board at the minute and is very low on fuel is Jensen, down in 17th. I predict him for third position here tonight. The Mercedes man, the former WR champion, of course, in season 12. Rowan, of course, won the championship in season 13. Jensen will be one to watch out for, I am sure, but that's only if his mentality is there, which, seeing him so far in PSGL and in other leagues as well that I've commentated on, he has been on fire.
Yeah, very quick young man. Definitely has a lot of potential. But like you say, if it's about kind of switching it on over a season, which when you're racing against people like this, isn't always easy, because look at the margins between 12th and 4th. It's less than 0.3 of a second, so you've got to be on your game.
Yeah, it's less than 4/10 of a second between 4th and 16th. It's closer than the championship table at this stage in real life, where Sunderland currently is 10th position, may I add, as well, currently in the top 12 of the championship. Not that anybody cares. Sally out on top, Campbell in second, Yildirim there in third. Packer is the first man to go out on an outlap again. Jensen's invalidated on this run, so we're just keeping an eye on him for now. Gary's also on an outlap as well. And Montana also saying in the comment section, these car allocations of the drivers are so odd, it's going to take a while to get used to. Yeah, we're so used to seeing the norms of obviously Campbell and Verstappen teaming up, but obviously they've now split. Former Constructors Champions, of course. Verstappen there in 7th, Campbell there in 2nd, and I think the Scotsman putting the Dutchman to sleep so far in this qualifying session. I think that breakup might just be working out for Campbell.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I realised is actually Gary and Killer are meant to be teaming, but Killer's had to go and do some emergency D3 commentating. So he's actually not driving because he's doing comms for D3, which is a bit of a shame. But I don't think he's a big fan of this track from doing being in a party with him earlier, so it doesn't necessarily surprise me.
He'd probably be better off in the commentary box rather than being out on track, I think, tonight. He's escaped the real one, certainly there. Obviously, he's in the Red Bull this season, and that's why Mark is alongside me, of course, in the commentary box. As for last season, we had Killer alongside me last season and Montana the season before that. Everyone seems to leave me at the end of the season, which I'm now picking up on now 8 seasons, the wits are about me, certainly. So that's hopefully Mark not going to be quitting at the end of the season, as Packer now comes onto this lap. The American in toward the right-hander of turn number 1 at Abbey, and then in toward the left-hander turn number 2 at Farm. And Packer's not looking too bad so far on this lap. In towards turn 3 at Village, and he's looking with a 27.624, his personal best certainly at this stage. Packer will be hoping to try and improve on that, probably to around the 27.3, 27.4 area, I would imagine, with his pace, as Packer now comes down the Wellington Straight. Of course, the former airfield, of course, the Silverstone International Circuit, and now we go from one county of Northamptonshire into Buckinghamshire, which is this part of the circuit, as we come in towards Luffield and through in towards Woodcote, of course, at turn 8. But Packer so far not looking too bad. He's about a 10th up on his first sector as well, so Packer's actually not looking too bad on this run.
No, absolutely. He's again someone many moons ago. I used to race him further down the divisions, but he's found himself getting a lot quicker and quicker as time goes past. So it will be interesting. I've got to be nice to him because he's actually going to be commentating on me later, so I can't give him too much grief.
103.4 in the middle sector, it's 3/10 up, but normally when we get to the middle stages of qualifying, we start to see the 102.6s, 102.5s come in. So Packer necessarily is not going as quick as what I imagined him to. He's still going to be up the field. He's going to be like your own Verstappen, Matthias, that sort of area, I would think, as he now comes through the final corner at Club Corner onto the Sir Lewis Hamilton Straight, as Packer to the line does, in fact, go 12th, so a little bit short of where I actually predicted him to go, but still 27.2 on that lap. We've got the main runners as well up the field on a run. Yildirim is purple in the middle sector, I've just spied, 102.9 in the middle sector, recently joining the Relentless team as well, so congratulations to Yildirim on him, and he's currently there in 3rd, currently, theoretically, going 2nd as it stands as he comes into Vale.
Verstappen only just improves by just over a 10th and jumps, I think, 3 places, so shows you how close it is.
Oh, and Yildirim goes quicker. It's a huge final sector. That from Yildirim. Look very, very smart indeed. Sally, by the way, is already up in the first sector. Campbell, I think, backed off his run, if I'm not mistaken. He was 10 hundredths down at the end of that. So Sally there in 2nd is the one to watch out for at this stage. Yildirim out on top. Sally in 2nd. Campbell now in 3rd. Nathan now in 4th as well. Slash has gone 5th. Verstappen all of a sudden from 4th position has gone all the way down to 7th now, as we've seen J. Cole put himself into the mix there in 5th. So not a bad qualifying session at all. It is such a tight track as well at Silverstone and always produces good qualifying, but Sally in this middle sector is looking huge. 102.8 in the middle sector, purple out of everyone. It was a 102.9 in the middle sector from Yildirim, so he's even quicker than Yildirim at this stage with a 10th up on his lap as he now comes in towards Stowe and then in toward Vale and Club Corner to round off the lap, of course, here at Silverstone. But Yildirim out on top, but not for long, because I think Sally is going to try and blitz him here through the final corner on the run to the line. Sally with a 102.5, no, 126.4 in the end from Sally. I did say a 102.4, 126.4 from Sally. Yildirim there in 2nd, Campbell there in 3rd. If he was doing 102s, I think he would have had a jetpack underneath him or something.
That is scary pace. 26.4 is ridiculous. Fair play. And he's the only one that's managed to be a cut above by more than a tenth on a visible kind of 4, 6, 7, 7, 7, 8, 9 kind of basis. Crazy, absolutely phenomenal pace.
Yeah, really crazy indeed. Jensen, by the way, went 7th as well. Big improvement on his lap. Obviously, he's had a 1:45. It was a 1:26.8 there from Jensen. So the Mercedes are currently looking quite good. The Ferrari's looking quite consistent as well in qualifying. But just look at the gap. Selly is a 10th.5 basically, well, a 10th of a second clear of Yildirim, who in turn is a 10th.5 second clear of Campbell there in 3rd. And then Campbell all the way down, as Pease I think has just improved into 13th there. Oh, sorry, Slinky's gone 14th, in fact, the Aston Martin. All the way from Campbell, all the way down to Packer is covered by 5.5 tenths of a second. If that's not close qualifying, everyone's separated by less than a second as well. League of Europe certainly living up to expectations, has been one of the widest open grids in Division 1.
Yeah, unbelievable. And that I am genuinely amazed at how small these gaps are, particularly because you know that some people will have practiced, some people won't have, just by the nature of everything on a Saturday evening, and it's still so close.
Larkin saying there in the comment section, I've never seen Sully and Montana in the same room. That's because I think they're the same people. But there we are. Izzat's run out of fuel. He was improving until that run coming through Maggotts and Beckett's where he ran out of fuel there, so he is down on a lap. Sully though out on top, Yildirim in 2nd, Campbell there in 3rd. And Montana's now just put in a comment, which is very interesting. There is a 1v1 on my channel of us. So, interesting. I might have a look at that later and just see if it's not Montana that's actually driving.
Maybe it's don't know, the return of the NSX Alonso. Maybe, who knows?
It possibly is. It possibly is. It could be any NSX man, but we haven't got any drivers, or we've got one driver, in fact, coming out the pit lane, which I think is Kvyat Matthias, who's going to be the first man out on track for the final runs. Everyone now in the pit lane, pretty much apart from Matthias, who's coming out the pit lane. And that now obviously means Matthias has got free track, so he's going to be out of sync compared to every single person who is now going to be coming out the grid with 4 minutes to, out of the pit lane with 4 minutes to go out on track. And Matthias has now got what I think is called the advantage around here at Silverstone. Even though he's got a 27.2, he will have a lot of clean air if there's no traffic coming out of the final couple of corners and obviously coming through turn number 1. So Matthias has gone out of sync to everyone else. This normally is a real big improvement lap coming in from Matthias. He's doing something different. He's gone against everyone else. And to be fair, I rate it because I think he can improve in his lap.
The only thing I'd be slightly scared of is catching the pack as they leave the pits, but I think actually most of them will still be in there.
They will be with, what, 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Yeah, I think Matthias has pretty much nailed this bang on, but there are a lot of drivers now beginning to leave the pit lane, which might be quite concerning for him. It's Sully out on top, Yildirim in 2nd, Campbell in 3rd. 3 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Matthias is not on a lap at this stage, as the graphics are now playing trickery with me once again. But Matthias now coming through the right-hander 15 at Stowe, now setting up onto his lap through Vale and Club Corner. We'll keep the mini-map up on the right-hand side, just so you can see who's coming out the pit lane, which is quite a lot of drivers, unfortunately, for Matthias, as he now comes out onto the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight on the run down now into the right-hander of turn number 1. He's actually judged up pretty well, as a Haas coming out the pit lane right in front of him, gets out the way to the right-hand side, and now Matthias coming through the right-hander of turn number 3 at Village, and that's already as that completely and utterly ruined, because he's just had a mistake out of turn 3.
Well, the good news for him, yeah, he's going to back off quite sensible in that way to go out, because he can now basically join in that pack, save his battery, which I think is exactly what he's doing, and just go again.
Yeah, definitely so. And Slash is now going to be the next man to set up on a lap as well. Nathan is the next man behind him. So Slash now on the run toward the line, coming into the right-hander turn number 1. And Matthias looks completely out of shape in terms of his lap coming through the first couple of corners, so maybe that's why he's so far down the field. Slash, interestingly, taking a very high 7th gear, actually just mirroring the exit there, coming through Abbey and then through Farm. Very high 7th gear, does get him the traction, but he does lose speed, and he's going to lose all of that speed, basically from Aintree all the way down the Wellington straight. Obviously, if he does stay within that high 7th gear, which he's not, and it's 27.3 in the first sector, so 200s up in the first sector from Slash, but already I think he could have been at least a 10th quicker than what he is.
Yeah, it's a bit of a safety net. You get more control as he nearly loses control. I kind of flicking between doing both. But I think you're right. I think potentially, or maybe that's just a slight connection issue. But that was so wild. This is such a strange lap, very unorthodox, but still maintaining some good pace.
Yeah, you might have had a slight lag spike there, because he was taking that curve very nicely indeed on my screen, that's for sure. Slash now coming through Chapel, 103 flat in the middle sector. He's still improving on his lap, but still, I think there's a lot of time to be actually found on this lap. He's just making silly little errors and silly little mistakes coming out of corners rather than into corners, and that's going to degrade that speed away, as now he comes into the final couple of corners at Vale Club. It has to competitive, don't get me wrong, this is a very good lap from Slash, but there is improvement in this lap, I know for sure, and he will know for sure at the end of this lap as he goes 26.8. He found a lot in that final sector compared to what I was expecting, but Slash there in 7th, Jensen there in 8th, and Jensen 2/10 up through the middle sector is coming through Stowe, as Nathan I think has gone 5th there as well on his lap. I think he's just preparing up for another run. He's in the in towards Stowe, but Jensen now the next man towards the line. What is the Brit gonna do to the line? Goes quickest! Wow! Jensen, a huge final sector, 26.4. Sadie there in 2nd, Yilbrim there in 3rd, and Yilbrim actually 400s up on his lap.
Wow, what a final sector that was from him. That's really thrown the cat amongst the pigeons, as Selly is having to react, and he is.
He is, he's 800 up through the first sector. Yilbrim's nearly a 10th up through the middle sector, however, and he's now coming in towards Vale Club at the final couple of corners. Rick has already finished his lap time, along with Matthias, who's in the pit lane, didn't improve, obviously, as a result of his next run. But Yilbrim now through the final corner, on the run to the line. Is he going to go quickest? No, goes 3rd, stays 3rd, and he's probably got a good gap as well, of about 2/10, with J. Cole now coming into that gap as well. Campbell now goes quickest, but we're right on board with Selly as he now comes through out of the Maggots and Beckett section, bit squirrely on the curb, loses him time. It's a 10th up in the middle sector. He's doing good enough at this stage, but he did lose a bit of time coming out of there, and that's going to lose you all the way down towards Stowe, and Selly now needs to put it right on the throttle here as he now comes in towards the final couple of corners in the Mercedes. Could mark Mercedes 1-3 at this stage as Campbell currently out on top. Selly rides the curve and he's round! Selly is round! Coming through turn 17 at Vale. Absolutely unbelievable. You could not write the script for this qualifying session, and that now means, I think, unless Nathan is improving on his lap, which he is, and he's a 10th down in the middle sector, Gary is on a lap as well. He's 2/10 down in that middle sector. In fact, he's actually completely backed off, has Gary. Unless Nathan can obviously improve big time in this final sector, which is not going to happen. He goes 6th in the end, he does improve. But Campbell, in the end, a bit of a shock, I've got to say, for qualifying. Campbell out on top, Jensen in 2nd, Sally in 3rd, and somebody got at least 2 out of the top 3 right.
That is wild. I will be honest. That is a wild qualifying session. I didn't expect to see so many 26s. I thought there'd be a couple leaking into the 27s. Fair play. That is phenomenal. But the top 4 really kind of made a bit of a gap. But J. Cole, I don't know what he's been eating. I've never seen him that quick. That is insane.
I think he's been practicing for once. I think that is probably the main, the reason why J. Cole is there in 5th position. Still a good qualifying session though, as you say, the top 4 well clear of the rest, but Campbell out on top from Jensen there in 2nd. The Scotsman starts off as he means to go on. Jensen there in 2nd, Sadie there in 3rd. Only 0.003 of a second in the end between Jensen and Sadie, both teammates of course. Yilbrim there in 4th with J. Cole in 5th. Nathan 0.003 of a second off of that improvement with J. Cole there in 6th. Wouter in 7th, Ronan 8th, Slash in 9th, is at running off the top 10. Then Gary in 11th, Pease in 12th, Verstappen 13th, Packer 14th, Rocco in 15th, only 0.002 of a second off on Packer's lap time. Rick in 16th, Darry on his F1 debut down in 17th, Slinky there in 18th, and Matthias all the way down at the back of the field down in 19th position, obviously running out of sync compared to everyone else in that qualifying session. Montana also saying in the chat as well, I'm so glad I don't have to race anymore, would be nowhere near, which is interesting because I think Montana the last time he raced here, he took pole.
Yeah, forever the humble bragger, I suspect. We know he would have been up there. It's looking dry, and I will be honest with you, I like a bit of rain, but in D1 at Silverstone, I think that's probably for the best, because otherwise it could have been a bit, I'm never going to say dull, but it certainly might not have been as interesting as what it might will be in the dry.
Yeah, definitely. So I prefer it like this though. Beautiful blue skies, sunshine, probably around 45 degrees, with everyone melting in the grandstands at this point here at Silverstone. If it is, of course, in July, which probably is, in real life, it probably will be the same conditions known about climate change and global warming and all of that crap. But Silverstone, of course, is the home of British motorsport. What are your predictions, by the way, in the comment section? Let me know, of course, in the comment section who your top three is. The formation lap is about to begin here at Silverstone. Always think that the formation lap is turned off here in LOE, but the formation lap is on. And actually, I've just seen a Haas of Peas completely jump on my screen from one side of the grid to the other.
Very odd. Very, very odd. I didn't catch that myself, but just to go through our predictions. So I've got Jensen winning this, Campbell in second, Selly in third. Which is near enough now at the moment. Campbell, you have Campbell, Nathan and Jensen, with Selly in 10th. And Verstappen, who's our guest predictor this week, has Campbell first, Jensen second and Slash third. So he needs a bit of favours from Slash, and he has Selly in fourth. So, yeah, fairly overlapping predictions, but quite a messy formation lap by the looks of this. We had 3 people going to be starting on stone cold tyres.
Yeah, Yildirim, that is, Packer, and Slinky the other one. And actually, Slinky, looking at the tyre choices, is the only person to have gone on a set of medium compound tyres. Now, normally when I commentate around here at Silverstone, we normally see drivers in a set of mediums pit from around lap 8, lap 9 onwards. So Slinky is going to have his work cut out all the way down on 18th. He's got his teammate ahead of him. He's got Rick ahead of him. He's more than capable, I think, to get past them. But then he hits Rocco in 15th. Rocco, of course, race winner last season in Austria. He is certainly not going to put up with Slinky's actions at all out on track, and I think Rocco will probably try and shut the door on many drivers here tonight. But Slinky there down in 18th position on that set of mediums, theoretically is going to be the quickest man to start this race, but not on cold storm tyres.
He'll be loving this though, but I mean, it's unlikely there'll be a safety car Indy one, because these guys are very accomplished, very quick guys. But if there is, from any point on after about lap 3 or 4, he's at the jackpot, really.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously, normally here at Silverstone, we see drivers, of course, get caught up in incidents, especially in towards Village and the Loop. Normally see incidents coming through there. What we are going to have, though, is, unfortunately, a camera angle that is very, very awkward at this race start, as Nathan pulls ahead of his pit box there. He's being reset quite a way back from his pit box there, as Girona is the final man to join up on the grid, and now we're about to get going, finally, for League of Europe Division 1, I hope. There we are. 5 red lights now coming on in the gantry here at Silverstone, round 1 of the championship, and it's lights out and away we go. And Jensen gets a very good start compared to Campbell, but Campbell off the second half gets the lead in towards turn number 1. Selly with a great start around the outside through turn number 1, and now through in towards Farm is into second. Jensen there in third, J. Cole there in fourth, and an absolute dive bomb from Nathan to the inside line. An absolute collection, absolute carnage in towards Village. J. Cole, Yildirim, I think, got caught up in that if I'm not mistaken. He was certainly forcing it down the inside line. Wouter got caught up in that. It's all sorts of carnage in the background. Pease, Darry, all caught up. Packer, I think, has been caught up in that separately as well. But Nathan, with an absolute ridiculous dive bomb down the inside line, that wasn't the cause of it. He absolutely sent it. He got the job done on J. Cole. J. Cole in the end is somehow in 5th. Izzard has covered out of that carnage as well. Absolute carnage further down the field. Even more incidents coming through the middle sectors. Darry has fun coming through Brooklands. But Campbell leads the way. Selly in second, and Campbell and Selly now have a bit of a stranglehold over the front 3.
Yeah, and Rocco is up to 7th, which is absolutely phenomenal.
There was side-by-side in the background there as well coming through. Cop, sorry to cut you off there, as Yildirim has got no front wing whatsoever in this carnage, and he's going side-by-side with his teammate. And he's desing. Pease is completely desynced. No wonder I saw him jump to the left-hand side of my screen. So Pease is completely desynced on my screen anyways. Yildirim has been spun. Pease all the way around there, down in 19th position. Bit of desync between them both. They obviously can't see each other, which is the main thing. Packer tries to go all the way around the outside of Girona as well. But how many drivers are going to be coming in the pit lane? There's going to be quite a few. One would imagine. Slash is into the pit lane. Girona's also into the pit lane. Matthias now doing a double stack as Giron speeds. Verstappen in. Yildirim is in. And Pease, I think, is still continuing on, along with Darry, but there's 6 drivers in at the end of lap 1, with Campbell still leading.
That is chaos, absolute carnage, not what we want to see. And it's such a long pit lane, these guys will be super frustrated, but it's nice to see that so far none of them have called it a day.
Montana saying as well as this Division 6, it's a bit like Division 6, even though there's no Division 6 at this stage. But that was exactly what I said just before the the start of the race. I literally said we normally see carnage in towards Village in the loop. Oh, and J. Cole, goodness me, how on earth is that a save from J. Cole? Heroics in that Alfa Romeo absolutely snapped his way coming out of Luffield. He's nearly down the old pit straight as well, the old pit lane, and he's somehow recovered that car into a straight line. I do not know how he has recovered that. He's only lost one position to Izza. Well done, J. Cole. That might just be save of the season right there.
Oh, unbelievable car controls. We keep an eye on Slinky, as he has actually got quite a nice little spot now, because he's catching up to Rick. Rick won't have DRS when it's enabled. Onto the back of Walter as we have another yellow, and that is Jerome. Must have rear damage or side pod damage, because it's very unusual to see him spinning around like this.
But he's on cold soft compounded tyres as well, and normally they don't actually act on the first lap and then they kick in next lap around, so it might have just been the tyres possibly, and might have just been the big throttle coming out of, I think that was the loop if I'm not mistaken, where he had spun. But Campbell leads the way, Sully there in second, Jensen there in third. As you say, Slinky there in 10th position, doing a good job. He's on the back of Rick, who's there in 9th position, and do you know what, they deserve to be there. They've avoided all the carnage, Slash and everyone else has came into the pit lane, and Slinky now, with him being on that medium compounded tyres, is going to make, you would imagine, light work here of Rick down the straight in towards Brooklands. Is he going to try and lunge it from this far back? I don't think he will. Actually, he does. That to the inside line in towards Brooklands. The Aston Martin tries to force the move, but in the end, I think he just has to sit back and maybe go for a switch back in towards the exit of Luffield. And he's now going to be maybe side by side with them in towards Cops as Rick gets the better run, but Slinky now has to use up the ERS. He has to go for this move if he wants it to the outside line. Rick backs off. Fair play to him, and Slinky's through and he's into 9th.
Yeah, race with Rick long enough to know that he's thinking about lap 26, not lap 3. And that's the reason why he backed out there, I suspect.
Montana also mentioned in the comments section, apparently Selly has got an 8 km/h advantage down the straight compared to Campbell. Now in real terms, that is around about 4-5 mph extra that Selly is going to be carrying, and I'm assuming that is without the DRS that is going to be of course enabled and was enabled this lap. But Selly on the back of Campbell, if I'm in Selly's mind right now, I'm probably thinking not to go for the move, put Campbell under a bit of pressure, drag Jensen, my teammate, along with me, and then bring Nathan into play, and then we have got the old warhorse battle of Mercedes against Ferrari here at Silverstone. It's not like we haven't seen that before around here.
Oh, absolutely. This is it's no surprise, because I'm using Campbell's setup and it is quite draggy, or a setup he's devised. I don't know if it's exactly the one he's using now, but it is draggy. And you can see that. I know he's got DRS, Sully, but you can actually see it clear as day. Yeah,
coming through Luffield, this will probably be the biggest indication. Coming down the old pit straight, down in towards the old turn number 1 at Cops. And there, 170, compare it into entry speeds, 193 mph compared to 188, so about 6 mph difference between Sully and Campbell. That was with a little bit of application of ERS, but even still, I think that is still huge. And look at Sully, he's all over the back of Campbell. I don't know where we've got this guy from, but he's all over the back of Campbell, who normally is going to be a man unbreakable under pressure. But Sully, if he wants this move, he's going to have to go for it right now, because he's going to be too quick down the straight. Here he comes to the outside line, in towards Stowe. The Mercedes tries to go all the way around the outside. Campbell will hang him out to dry on that inside line, and Campbell hangs him out to dry. Sully, to be fair, was going off camber anyways, and I think he would have been running wide, but Campbell still leads. Sully in second, Jensen third. That was racing right there, but in the end, Sully made his own doing by going out there on the outside.
Yeah, interesting though from Campbell, because if he didn't fight that as much, there's a good chance they might have even broke Jensen and Nathan's DRS, but now they're very much, it's now a 4-car train.
Yeah, and Nathan as well, compared to Jensen, has got 22% more than Jensen in terms of his ERS at this stage, which is a big difference, especially because your teammate is leading and you might need them a little bit later on in the race, and that's what I think Nathan is going to have to try and do on the back of Jensen to try and get the job done at this stage. But Campbell leads the way, Selly in second, Jensen in third, Nathan there in fourth. Not looking too bad at all for my top three. I just hope Selly now goes into 10th position, even though he has got a much better straight line speed setup and is probably the quickest man out on track right now. But Campbell is holding his own out in front, and actually the front two, all of a sudden, Sully with a bit of ERS application down in towards Cops, has now put Jensen right on the back foot, and Jensen, as Charlie has mentioned in the comments, hasn't got much ERS to burn. He's only got 20%.
Yeah, so dangerous times for Nathan as well as Jensen, because Sully is looking obviously very slippery in a straight line.
On he comes.
Speed.
Shot out of cannon to the outside line, but Campbell again is going to hang him out to dry. Right, same as, but Sally this time alongside, surely going to get the job done. In toward the inside of Vale, gets the job done, and Sally's he's into the lead of the race. Campbell, to be fair, is not keeping his nose clean at all. He's wanting to try and come back here at Sally, but now it brings Jensen and Nathan completely back into play as a result. But Sally now, with that drag, that extra drag that he's got, he's going to be dragging Campbell and Jensen along with him, so I can see it. It's worked 50-50. He's gone for the move early, which is fair enough. But now, with that drag and that extra speed down the straight, Campbell and Jensen are going to be getting dragged along at this stage.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm almost certain the front two are going to break now. So it might actually benefit both of them in a very strange way that Sally actually got through without too much drama the second time around, really.
Commenters there in the comment section as well saying, go on Jensen. Yeah, Jensen doing a solid job currently there in third position. Mr. PSGL F1 himself there, Mr. Aidan Carter in the comment section. Sally leads the way from Campbell in second, Jensen in third. Nathan is keeping Jensen honest though in that third position. We're keeping an eye on this battle. There are stuff happening further down the field, but there's no real close battle compared to what we are seeing out on track as well. But Nathan there in fourth position, Jensen there in third. It might mean that one of these guys is going to have to pit early as Charlie's literally just mentioned. Good minds think alike, Charlie. As now Nathan draws in on Jensen with that extra ERS. He's going to have to think about getting this job done now to the inside and towards Stowe. In the end, though, he has his nose up the inside, and unfortunately, he wasn't close enough to get the job done.
I think Jensen was probably almost thinking, please overtake me. Because now they're in serious danger, I think, these two, of losing the front two. And if they lose them, it might be really tough to get them back.
Yeah, and remember as well, obviously, we used to have on old F1 games, on I think it was the previous version, where we had the DRS zone down the straight. Now, they got rid of that, of course, for this game, and indeed the last game, I think, as well. As Nathan, was that a forceful send to the inside line there? Yeah.
That was ambitious. He knows how important it is to get past Jensen, but he's dicing with death, because if he unsettles Jensen too much, they're out of the second, and then they're fighting for third. So really, actually, very interesting dynamic going on between the front two, Jensen and Nathan now.
Yeah, and to be fair, actually, with that mistake, Izzat and J. Cole and Rocco have now drawn a little bit closer to the front four. Obviously, the front four is still pulling away, and Izzat's in a bit of no man's land. So J. Cole and Rocco have got to try and up their pace to try and go with Izzat at this stage. But I think what you've mentioned there is perfect, because Jensen there in third is now dropping off. His pace is beginning to drop off. His ERS is very low at this stage as well. Rides the curb coming through Maggots and Beckett, and now Nathan with that extra ERS, he's got it to burn, but he's still not close enough down the straight to try and get the job done, as J. Cole's going to try and come at his down the straight as well. Slinky, by the way, hasn't made much progress. He got past Rick, he disposed of him, but he's on the back of Wouter and just happy to stay there at this point. But it'll be getting close for Slinky to actually come in the pit lane, because his pit stops will be just around the corner.
Yeah, and it's going to be those the advantage of those softer compounds are gone now. I think they're probably as bad or worse potentially than the hards at this point, so it's going to be tough for him now.
Yeah, it definitely will be, and obviously his teammate Dari is doing a good job as well, down in 11th position. P's there in 12th, that's quite a close battle as well. Jensen will certainly be out of the DRS very soon, as Charlie has literally just mentioned that. Jensen is outside of DRS. Luckily though, he was within the detection point, so he has got DRS down this straight, Probably not the next one, though, because that next DRS zone is all the way down in towards Stowe, and that is going to be the decisive one further in this race, with Jensen obviously dropping off now the pace of the front two, and Selly beginning to pull away as well from Campbell, using a bit of EOS, and I think Selly is being told, maybe by the GOAT Montana, to try and break him outside of a second.
Yeah, now is the time, I think. It'd be an interesting time to do it, because Jensen has obviously now gone, really. Campbell should have Nathan should have no problems getting in here, but he's going to want to do it now.
Slinky with a 3-second penalty as well. Couldn't stretch his car enough, unfortunately, to not pick up that 3-second penalty. Nathan on the back of Jensen to the inside line in towards Stowe. Easy as you like from Nathan to the inside line. The Ferrari goes through and he's into third. And now that works perfectly from a strategic point of view. Certainly if I was a Ferrari fan at this stage, because Nathan and Campbell can now work on a strategy together. I know they'll probably be in a party together as well. Sally sets the new fastest lap of the race, a 1:30 flat. But Campbell, Nathan, Jensen still second, third and fourth, and all of a sudden, because Nathan and Jensen have dropped off, there is a yellow flag, and I think that's Slinky round through the final corner, so Slinky stretches himself enough to spin through the final corner, and now still down in 10th position, but still within the points, which is good.
Tell you an interesting dynamic, when these guys start to pit, which might not be tons of time off, it's still a way off, they might well find themselves coming out around Slash, as I say his name. He's backwards round one of the corners, taking the escape road. But that group, that little second class LMP2, almost, with now headed up by Matthias, they actually could end up being a bit of a nuisance for when these guys pit. Not perhaps for the top 4, but particularly maybe 5th downwards, maybe routed downwards as well.
Yeah, Izzat certainly hasn't really gained. The gap is still very stagnated there at 2 seconds, so Izzat has got to try and up the pace compared to Jensen, and Jensen's tyres obviously now going. His wear, obviously, in terms of his ERS as well, is obviously going. Campbell, by the way, now within 0.2 of a second down the straight in towards Stowe, so I think Sally might have made a slight mistake there on that lap, because Campbell all of a sudden applies the pressure, and still no sign of a pit stop just yet from either of them. But if I was in certainly the Mercedes camp right now, in Jensen's shoes, I'd certainly think about one eye coming into the pit lane. I know it's only 10 laps into the race, but those mediums can go around 15 or 16 laps quite comfortably with that, obviously the tyre wear around here being as low as it normally is. He would be able to get to the end of the race quite comfortably. But I think if I was in Nathan's shoes, obviously, he's going to have to try and back off there, and Jensen try and let him back into the battle, as we have got a battle further down the field as well. Yildirim, Packer, Gary, Verstappen, Slash was involved in that battle until he spun, but Yildirim and Gary were looking quite close, and they're not close enough down in towards Stowe.
Yeah, feel for these guys running at the back. They're going to be desperately wanting a safety car, but knowing this grid, I can't imagine there's too many people that are going to be incompetent enough to give it to them.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And I think, honestly, the drivers that have been called out, obviously, as a result of those collisions earlier on, they are really going to be hoping for that safety car, and they're obviously going to be hoping that somebody ahead spins, brings out a safety car, brings it back into the race, and then it's an even playing field once again. I think above most, that is what probably people are going to be hoping for. Certainly if I was in Matthias and downward shoes, as literally as I've said that, Slinky has spun, coming out of Copse Corner. Luckily though, no front wing damage on the car, but certainly he looks like he's got a bit of existential damage, maybe from earlier on as Packer and Yildirim.
Nasty. Is he taking a bit of a Rainbow Road line?
Oh no!
No.
I thought he would have picked up a penalty there.
Unbelievable. Yeah, felt. I don't know. Difficult one to look at, but not the clean, not the nicest, not the cleanest from both of them.
Yeah, it looked like Yildirim was, certainly from the camera that I saw, Yildirim was trying to force down the inside line, picks up a 3-second penalty for good measure as well, and he's just got to get into that mindset again of trying to go out on track as long as possible with another spin coming further down the field. That's Slinky again through the final corner, so I wonder if he has got maybe damage from an earlier collision either with the wall or an earlier collision on lap 1. He's there down in 12th position, certainly beginning to struggle, and he's gone off again coming through farm, and if those tyres have got grass on them, which I'm probably pretty much sure they have, Slinky has just got to try and follow the racing line, if he does run the racing line, and try and just rub off a bit of those tyres, and then hope, above hope, that there's another safety car coming out.
That's all you can really do at this point for him, unfortunately. But this battle for the lead is really interesting. Neither are using any errs. Both are very comfortable. Nathan is losing dribs and drabs of time. But yeah, really, Selly is clearly quicker because he's maintaining that gap with the DRS. But it's really interesting. It's going to be close, and it'll be down to pit stops. Where do you pit? Because you can pit now. You are quite right, but it might not be the wisest. Oh,
Cops.
It's gone.
That's a Cop's corner, and that is off track to the left-hand side. He's on track.
No, he's on.
He is on track, but that was an off-track collision, so I think it's not going to count as a safety car coming out. It might be a little bit later on if it does. Slinky, though, was round. He was the one that was struggling, obviously, on those tyres. He obviously had an earlier spin on the lap as well, but Slinky is round. Back to green flag racing. There was hardly anybody around, and even the next cars coming around are the leaders. So Slinky already out the session. No safety car deployed out on track, and we'll get back to green flag racing in that part of the track as well. And that, unfortunately, I think Matthias and Verstappen were certainly thinking, oh, that'll get me back into the race. Unfortunately not.
No. Really unlucky for those guys. Really unlucky. I rate them carrying on. But now, because of that DNF, though, one thing I would say is that Class 2 has a point to race for, because Matthias is now 12.
Yeah, he is 12, and obviously that battle as well further down the field. Verstappen and Packer will be inspired by that. Gary's into the pit lane as well to probably put on a set of medium compounded tyres, so he's going to try and break the undercut for the likes of Slash and Packer and the likes further down the field. Jeroen, by the way, has been lapped by the field, so he is now completely out of contention. He's been a lap down for quite a while now, in fact, because Sully and Campbell are already coming in towards Vale and Club. Still no pit stops from the front four. Is that J. Cole? Everyone else staying out? And with Blue Skies obviously out on track, that obviously means it's going to be a dry race. But I'm thinking, as Pease is right on the back of Darry, I'm thinking potentially they are very, very uncomfortable and unconfident in terms of the tyre wear around this track as Jeroen Matthias in the pits.
I'm very surprised that Nathan or Jensen haven't tried that undercut. It is nasty to be on those tyres for so long, but it might just, particularly Nathan, get him right back into the scene of a fight for the lead. So I'm really surprised. I think he will probably go a lap earlier than Campbell, is my prediction. And then, obviously, with them being in a party, we'll almost be certain that Campbell's going the next lap.
Yeah, definitely so. And yeah, Campbell there in second. You'd imagine that Nathan would come in behind, and then he can obviously be, if they go 2 laps longer, say, Sully and Campbell, Nathan will have the undercut potentially on them later on, and then that works in Campbell's favour more than it does for Sully. And Jensen is sticking with Nathan. I think it's only because he's inside a second consistently between himself and Nathan, and that is why that battle is obviously beginning to draw a little bit of attention, with Izzat, J. Cole and Rocco trying to gain. They're 2.3 seconds off, though, at this stage. And Pease and Darry is the battle I'm focusing on. Switchback, by the way, in the comment section saying it's his first LOE race watch, which is very good, and I couldn't think of a better race to actually come in on. Lap 13 out of 26, Selly, Campbell, Nathan, Jensen, top 4. Pease, though, on the back of Darry, hopefully going to be trying to switch back out of Cops. Out of Snow, even. And actually comes to the inside line. Here comes Pease to the inside line from an absolute mile back. Gets the job done. Darry will try and go the up and under on the outside line, and in the end, Pease is ahead. So Pease does the ultimate switch back out of the corner, gets the job done. He's through. He's into 10th as Whiter is in the pits. Yes,
another factor that I'm thinking is maybe the double bluff from both these teams, because if you go now, if you're Nathan or Jensen and you do pit now, then Selly or Campbell will assume that they're going to go in the next lap. What if they stayed out? What if they got the overcut, getting rid of those, making the other one pit, and then utilising the fact that they don't have cold tyres for the next lap for that overcut? So there could be a bit of mental gymnastics here if they have a think about it.
Yeah, definitely. So, people, by the way, complaining about me knocking my headset, obviously. I think that's what caused a bit of a ripple effect there. Hopefully it's all fine now. Hopefully it is all okay. Sully leads the way, Campbell in second, Nathan in third. I am on a different controller, by the way, tonight, so if it is causing a bit of interference and a bit of lag back, let me know and I'll switch to my original one. But that one that I was going to commentate on has only got 1 bar, so hopefully it can get to the end if we do have a switch over in terms of the controller. But Sully leads the way, Campbell in second. They're pulling away, obviously, from Nathan and Jensen, third and fourth. And Sully is in the pits. Sally comes into the pit lane from the race lead. Nathan is also in. Jensen now stays out, obviously, as a result. So now Ferraris are splitting the strategy. So Nathan into the pits. Mercedes also splitting the strategies with Sally also in the pit lane. And Sally there in third, Nathan there in fourth. Izzat and Rocco also into the pit lane. J. Cole continues on, so he's now into third position. But Sally out of the pit lane on a set of mediums. Luckily, didn't get held up by Nathan there.
I think Jensen's going to be really annoyed because I think he wanted to pit because he drained his battery all the way down the back straight there, thinking probably that Sally wasn't pit.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry.
Darry is fourth in his debut. Okay, we appreciate he's not pit yet, but that's one to hang up.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. Darry is doing a really good job there in fourth position. I have switched controllers, by the way. Chris saying 1 bar is easy for enough for 2 hours easy. Yeah, I'll listen to you there on that one. So hopefully it doesn't die before the end of the race. Campbell leads the way. Jensen second. J. Cole in third. Darry there in fourth. Yeah, I couldn't even get my words out. They are still yet to pit in. Campbell though, he's coming now down the hanger straight down in towards Stowe and using up all of that ERS that he had saved up on this lap to try and get some form of undercut. But this undercut probably not going to work. He is straight into the pit lane. Jensen's obviously going to follow him in as well. Jekyll and Daria wouldn't be surprised if they come into the pit lane as well as Julbream. Sets a new fastest lap of the race with a 29.5. So interesting that Julbream has got the pace further down the field. He's obviously going to be on the back of Slash and Gary. Slash I think has just came out the pit lane as well in that queue. So there's basically 3 different races going on at this point. We've got the battle for P1 now in the pit lane. We've got the likes of Sally coming around the final couple of corners who are actually in the net lead of the race. And all of these guys coming out of the pit lane are involved in that battle as well. And then everyone else in behind is at Rocco Wouter all strung out like a washing line.
Sally setting the fastest third sector of this race. And
well ahead.
Unfortunately for Campbell, well ahead, and I tell you what, he's going to break that second because those tyres are going to be cold as ice.
Might even be 2 seconds, I think, for Selly at the end of this lap as Campbell obviously comes in towards Aintree now through turn number 5. 1.3 seconds off. The tyre wear does get up around Copse corner, so when it comes to Copse, Campbell will have the fresher tyres compared to Sally. But if Sally's got 6 kilometres an hour difference in terms of the speed, or 6 mile an hour difference in terms of the speed, that means Sally is going to be running away with this race. Campbell there in second, Nathan in third, and that means we've got to find stuff to talk about for the next 10 or so laps in this race, which will be very boring. Hopefully, somebody further down the field. I am looking at you, Matthias, possibly to bring out a safety car further down the field. Rocco there on the back of J. Cole is looking quite interesting. Izzat has broken away as well and did the undercut to perfection on the likes of J. Cole and Rocco, and they were all involved in that battle. Izzat was within a second of the likes of J. Cole and Rocco, so now Rocco has got to apply that pressure to J. Cole, and Izzat did the undercut, is now on the back of Jensen all of a sudden.
Yeah, this really interesting from Izzat. He could definitely snatch 4th place, but the real kind of battle really now is, like you said, that mini train with J. Cole, Rocco and Wouter, I think, is probably the most likely to see any kind of freeway action, I think.
Yeah, definitely so, and yeah, that Rocco train, Wouter, J. Cole, all going to be running in unison, really. Charlie also saying, wasn't Darius season 73 champion? Oh, Rocco was spun through the final corner. I was on board with him at the time, didn't see, because I was too busy reading Charlie's comments. I'll watch it back on the replay, and Rocco coming through the final corner. Has he just snapped it coming out the final corner exit? Yeah, snapped it on exit of the corner, and Rocco now down to 9th.
Oh, really unfortunate. Running a good race as well. That 3-second penalty is going to hurt even more.
He's got damage. He's got right side end plate damage as well, which is unfortunate for Rocco. He's running well within the points. To be honest, if he comes in the pit lane, he's not going to be too far off the likes of Verstappen and Packers. He's going to be still involved in a battle at least if he does come into the pit lane and not retire the car. But that now just ruins that battle really, and now brings back to 1.5 seconds behind J. Cole all of a sudden, which is not that bad at all. But Sally's still leading the way. Campbell in second, Nathan in third, Jensen and Izzat now the closest battle out on track. 4th and 5th position. In fact, actually, we've got a further closest battle out on track. It's Gary, Yulbrim and Slash. That battle for the wooden spoon, down in 15th, 16th and 17th position. Yulbrim is all over the back of Gary here. The Irishman surely has had 2 points of Guinness too many, as Yulbrim now comes to the inside line to try and get this job done. Down the straight, in towards Brooklands. Job done for Yulbrim. He's doing his into 15th. And another one that got caught up, obviously, in the collisions earlier on in the race. Gary and Slash obviously having a fight, and Gary, on those set of hards, is not going to be going anywhere that quickly.
No. Just to point out as well, Gary, if you're listening, you're further behind Campbell than I was in a practice session earlier, so hang your head in shame.
He'd be blaming it on everyone else, I assume, as a result of the incidents that happened a little bit earlier on. But Slash is all over the back of him here for this wooden spoon moment. Izzat and Jensen 4th and 5th position at this stage, of 6 tenths of a second away from each other. Slash on the back of Gary. Gary, though, to be fair, has got good straight line speed down the straight. You'll be doing a bit of grass mowing to the left hand side. Not that the parched grass here at Silverstone needs any more mowing, to be honest, but Gary 16th, Slash in 17th, and Slash will be hoping that he can try and get this move done on Gary for these positions. Sadly, though, still out in front. Campbell there in second. Nothing really happening in this race now all of a sudden, so we're going to keep an eye on the battle for 15th position. I never thought I'd be saying that at this stage in the race.
Oh, we have a yellow.
It's Matthias.
Matthias. Well, you did say. You did say.
That's what I'm laughing about. I did say he'd be the one to cause a safety car, and predictably or not, he's gone round. Luckily, no safety car out on track. He just had a pure spin coming through Village in the loop, and Matthias there down in 13th, still within the point scoring positions, though. He's got Verstappen obviously in that point scoring position ahead of him. Matthias there in 13th. One more of those and maybe a crash into the wall. I hope will bring out a safety car, but you never know around here. As Dari, closing up on Rocco very quickly to the inside line, gets the job done. And Rocco, to be fair, is actually staying out on that right side end plate damage, so it mustn't be affected him that bad, actually.
Yeah, and I suppose his attitude will be the others behind him are likely going to have to pit again. So why bother? Why get yourself involved in that squabble at the back when you can... You're miles clear of them. So his race is going to run.
Yeah, it's 30 seconds a pit stop around here as well, so Rocco's obviously going to be coming out, as I say, around Packer, Yulbrim, Gary, that sort of region, when he decides to come, obviously, if he decides to come in the pit lane. If not, he's very happy to run behind Dari. He's not going to lose 23, well, he might lose 23.7 seconds, that's Rocco at the end of the day, between himself and Verstappen, but if that gap comes down around a second and a half a lap, which I'm expecting it to, Verstappen might be on the back of Rocco before the end of the race. So keep an eye on that one. Selly leads the way. What we have now drawn the attention to is this battle for the lead, because Campbell all of a sudden 1.2 seconds off. Selly's obviously got the straight line speed. He's got more EOS at this point, about 6% more than Campbell, who was on 0% in towards Stowe. But Campbell now visibly beginning to get closer, and I wonder if it's because he has actually managed his tyres a bit better at this stage in the race.
Yeah, and one person I kind of feel for today is Rick. Rickarich has driven around minding his own business. He's not really had anyone anywhere near him, but Pease is closing in on him, so he's going to have a battle before the end of this race, I suspect.
Yeah, Dari's not too far off as well. Obviously, he's on fresher tyres. He's 4 seconds behind. Doesn't seem like a lot here at Silverstone. Trust me, though, when you're racing around on track and you've got no one around you, it is very lonesome for the likes of Rick, Pease, Dari in that mid-pack battle. Izzat and Jensen now the closest battle out on track, 4th and 5th position. Still, Jensen holding his own over Izzat. It's a bit like the EML Premier 1 race that we had midweek as well, where Jensen and Izzat were in the top 4 in EML Premier 1 in, I think it was Bahrain, if I'm not mistaken. And they did very well around there. Izzat obviously spun on the second to last lap in that race. Probably would have picked up P4 if he didn't. Picked up P8 that day. Jensen in the end won that race in EML Premier 1, so both of them have got form, both of them have got very good pace as well around here at Silverstone, and Izzat is keeping up with Jensen, who had a bit of a moment there coming out of Copse. Yeah,
and to add a little bit of spice to this, Nathan and Izzat are both on 2 warnings, and Jensen is within 3 seconds and J. Cole's within 3 seconds of Izzat, so not quite over drama-wise at the front.
Yeah, but if one of them picks up a 3-second penalty, then it's pretty much game over, really.
Yeah, so Nathan will be conscious of that. He's going to be feeling like he's treading on a tightrope, so he probably has the pace to gap Jensen by 3 tenths over the last 5 laps from what we've seen so far this race. So he's probably got that little air of confidence about him. Whereas I don't think Isak will be feeling the same thing. If anything, he'll be looking at Jensen with some trepidation. Doesn't want to battle wheel to wheel and go over the line as Yulbreen picks up another pen. That's 9 seconds.
Yeah, let's have a look at the penalties, by the way. Just gives us something to talk about, at least at this stage. Rocco on 3, Matthias on 3, Packer with 5 seconds. Pease has just picked up a 3-second penalty as well, so add him onto that list. Packer, as I say, on 5 seconds for speeding into the pits. Yulbreen on 9 seconds. Gary on 3 and Slash on 3 as well. So those are the penalties run down at this stage. Isak, though, beginning to get a lot closer to Jensen now, within 0.5 of a second. Hasn't used any DRS with the fear of intrepidation, potentially, with Isak on the back of Jensen. Jensen down the straight is quicker than Isak, though, visibly, even without using any ERS. So Isak has got his work cut out if he does want to try and get this job done. In the end, though, as you mentioned a couple of laps ago, Rick and Pease, that battle is now beginning to get going, because Pease is all of a sudden with that 3-second penalty on the back of him.
Yes, shame he got it, because now that's kind of deaded that battle too. We're not having much luck tonight, are we? But I tell you, as a bit of an aside, maybe this is a unnecessary drama conversation, but Nathan obviously, as you said, was involved in that lap 1 incident. If he gets any kind of time penalty, then even someone like Isak isn't out of the podium places.
Yeah, Isak, to be fair, is not too far off. He's within 3.3 seconds of Nathan. Nathan picks up a 3-second penalty, then that brings Isak and Jensen completely into play for a potential P3 battle when, and only if, of course, Nathan picks up that penalty. Pease on the back of, I was going to say Pease on the back of Pease. Pease on the back of Rick even. Alfa Romeo in 8, Pease there in 9, doing a good job. And the Haas there on the back of the Alfa Romeo trying to look to try and get any nook and cranny to try and force a move for this position gain, as Pease on the back of Rick, 8th and 9th position, is up there still on the back of Jensen, beginning to try and coast along. But speaking of coasting, here comes Pease on the back of Rick, and it's very easy indeed from the relentless man to the inside line, and Pease is through easily, and he's into that 8th position. Rick there in 9th, and Rick now maybe on the back foot, but Darry 4.5 seconds behind. He's got nobody really around him, so this will probably be his battle to the end.
One thing I'll say is that I feel sorry for the guys up in 1 and 2, because they are having a absolutely sweaty, horrible race. They're living a tightrope of that 1 second detection point. Both have got no errors. Selly fighting as hard as he can, and what's really interesting is you see Campbell gaining through these corners with his higher downforce, and then you just see it leak away down the straights as it's doing now, and Selly retains the advantage, but it's so finely poised. It's only 3 tenths.
Well, he's had very low EOS for quite a while, actually, probably since the pit stop, actually, where Selly has just managed the gap. It's been, I wouldn't say dominant from Selly, it has been comfortable, is what I will say from the Mercedes. It's been very easy, it's just been basically a Sunday night drive, really, from Selly at this point. That's the best way I could describe it, because Campbell has got no pressure applied to the back of the Mercedes. He is gaining at parts of the track where Selly is a bit slower, especially through this middle sector where there's more corners than straight. And Campbell has got to try and recognise that fact, because Campbell needs to try and close in on Selly if he's got any sort of chance of the race win. And, of course, if they go on to lap 24 and everyone stays out, of course, there's no safety cars out on track, that is big news, obviously, because Campbell will not be out of will be out of DRS range probably for the rest of this race.
Yep, almost certainly. As Rick applying some errs down this straight, he's desperately trying to stay with Pease, because he's probably worried in the back of his head that Pease might be able to get away more than 3 seconds. But if he keeps latching onto that DRS, then that won't be a problem.
Yeah, Charlie as well in the comment section as well, saying Pease is on Pease at the moment. Maybe he wants some chips and gravy with that, perhaps. Hey, Pease has made Rick terrible. What was that one?
He's had a bit of a mushy race.
He has had a bit of a mushy race, yeah. It's been a damp squib out on track from Pease rather than Rick. These puns are terrible. Montana's in the comment section earlier on was even worse. But there we are. He's not in the commentary box, which I'm glad. Selly leads the way. Campbell in second. Nathan there in third. Nothing really happening here at Silverstone. I wish we could bring you more action, but there simply isn't. At least, though, we can say this is so far race the season.
Yeah. just about. It's a bit like being congratulated coming second in a boxing match, really, isn't it? But yeah, just want to say a big shout out to Gary, who was going to score as many points as his teammate, who is currently doing D3 comms. So well worth the effort tonight.
Yeah, comments are saying this is certainly a race in the comment section. You guys crack me up, you really do. In the comments, is that on the back of Jensen? We are at least going to get a race between the battle for P4 and P5, which still, with Nathan, if he does pick up that 3-second penalty, it brings Jensen and Izzat completely into play in terms of a front three battle. But now, this is a battle for fourth, and Izzat now begins the use of the ERS down the straight. Is the Williams going to be close enough? No, he doesn't look quick down the straight. That's a simple. Izzat doesn't get the move done, not simply quick enough. Jekyll obviously on the back of these guys trying to hunt them down as well, but is that on the back of Jensen? At least we're going to see something before the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that nearly losing it there? Oh, that was tight. He would not have enjoyed that, but he is going to have to go hell for leather to get onto the back of Jensen now.
Yeah, that was a big mistake coming out of Vale there from Izzat. He's there in 5th position, trying to hunt down Jensen there in 4th, and now loop around through Village in toward the loop, where of course the international circuit joins the Grand Prix circuit here at Silverstone. Selly still leads the way by 1.4 seconds and has looked ultimately confident from Selly out in front. My P10 prediction, can I remove the 0 off it?
Unfortunately not, but that's a bad start from you to this week. I'm going to take the points all, because I think I might be doing it right.
Campbell, I'm sorry, is in 2nd, and to be fair, Nathan's there in 3rd. So at least I've got 2 out of the top 3.
That's true. Well, don't jinx them too quick. There's still a very high-speed section that they're currently going through. Ooh, I tell you, Campbell did take a bit of grass more than I thought he would.
Yeah, he's trying to take literally every nook and cranny, every gain of time that he can get, because Sally is just so quick in front. And Nathan now, 6 seconds all of a sudden behind. He's out of ERS. At least he's got Jensen, is up there in 5th. And Jekyll's not entirely out of this either. He's got more ERS to burn. He's 2 seconds off now. He's gained 5 tenths per second this lap around. Is that not going for the move? He's going to incise Jekyll to try and get onto the back of these guys. He's 2.2 seconds down. He's not going to be within DRS range. But if these guys make contact, Jekyll is completely in this battle as they come onto the final lap here at Silverstone in what has been an absolutely enthralling Silverstone Grand Prix. Sully leads the way, Campbell there in 2nd, Nathan there in 3rd. They're still on board with the battle for 4th and 5th. There is another battle going on further down the field as well. Packer and Yilbreen for 14th and 15th position. About as entertaining as you'll get, but is that on the back of Jensen trying to look through the inside of Aintree, and in the end Jensen just burns battery down the straight and already pulls away from him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this needs to be a hell of a sector from Izzat. And it's going to be close though. They are going to be, I think he will have some sort of look if the gap stays as it is.
Let's have a look down in towards Cop's corner. He's on the back of him, 3 tenths of a second off, and the Singaporean trying to close in on the Brit. They are actually gaining on Nathan as well, who's obviously backed off on the back of Campbell and has lost 3 seconds as a result. But Sally comes out of Chapel on the run down the hanger straight, and this has looked very, very confident from Sally in this performance. Montana-esque, if you'd like, and the Mercedes now coming through Stowe corner for the final time. Is that in the end? It's not going to be close enough, I don't think, that Jensen down the straight. But Sally now round the final corner. He comes in toward Vale, now through Club Corner for the final time, and Sally is a race winner in LOE Division 1 on his debut. Sally takes the win here in Britain from Campbell there in 2nd. Nathan in the end is finishing in 3rd. A great draw from him. Obviously stays within the limit as well. Jensen there in 4th. Is up there in 5th. Jekyll in the end catching all the way to the line in 6th. Whiter there will finish in 7th. There are other battles going on further down the field, which I'm now going to draw my attention to, because Yilbreen right on the back of Packer is looking very, very tasty indeed. And this is for 14th, 15th and 16th. So Gary might not pick up the wooden spoon at this point, as Pease has obviously dropped as a result of penalties further down into 9th position. Rick there up into 8th on his return to F1. Gary catching very quickly on the back of Yilbreen, pulls to the outside line, and Yilbreen there has to back off. And has he got a puncture on the left side? I think he might. I think Yilbreen has got a puncture on the front left. coming to the final corners there. Rocco to the line will finish in 11th, but Yildirim has got a puncture. Front left tyre completely popped down the straight. That is why he's picking up the wooden spoon at the end of the race. Gary there to finish in 15th, Slash there in 16th, and then the end Packer actually picks up that 5-second penalty, and Yildirim with that puncture, that front left which was ebbing away right at the end. You can see how much on the limit there was. Yildirim there down in 17th position. About as much entertainment as we got out of that race, to be honest, the puncture at the end. But Darry picks up Driver of the Day, awarded Birmingham fans, but Selly takes out the race win here, and I really shouldn't underlook Selly from now on, because predicted him P10, ended up P1.
Yeah, that was a hell of a drive from him. A hell of a drive, and art imitating life, really. Mercedes and 2 Ferraris, it's like being back in 2018.
It is like being back in 2018 indeed, and yeah, the Mercedes of Selly takes to the top step of the podium here in F1 in Division 1 this season. He is going to be leading the championship standings, of course, unless Campbell decides to put in a ridiculous penalty and try and get it removed or something. You never know. Suddy, though, takes the race win. In the end, very confident, very cool, the performance from him, and the Mercedes man takes it out on top, with obviously Campbell coming in second and Nathan in the end in third, which will mean perhaps that Ferrari at least going to be tied on points with Jensen and the Mercedes team going into round 2 of the championship. Campbell, by the way, fast up the race as well, picked up by him 3/10 quicker than Selly in the end, but the Austrians out on top. Selly out on top from Campbell there in second, Nathan there in third with Jensen in fourth, is up there in fifth, Jacob there in sixth, Wouter 7th, Rick on his return to F1 there or Division 1 and 8th, there in 9th, Darry ran off the top 10, then Rocco and Verstappen ran off the points in 11th and 12th, Matthias 13th, Gary 14th, Packer there in 15th, Slash in 16th, Yildirim in 17th. They were the finishers as Jeroen and Slinky of course crashed out at various stages in the race and retired of course into the pit lane. Sully though out on top, Campbell in second, Nathan in third. You, I'm pretty sure, have got a hot foot to Division 4.
I've got a bit of time. We can try and get some driver interviews if you wish.
We can indeed.
Let me have a look. Invite some of the podium sitters. Let's have a go. I do have to hot foot it to Division 4, but I've still got some time. I've done plenty of practice, so I've got no excuse if I mess up and butcher this. So we'll see.
It's not too bad. It is not too bad at all. But what isn't too bad certainly is Sully, of course, taking the race win. A very good race win from his perspective as well. And in fact, we could speak to the man himself, finishing there in P1. It is Mr. Selly. And Selly, in the end, first of all, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you indeed. It was pretty comprehensive, that victory. First race in Division 1 and a race win. Couldn't be any better.
Yeah, I think I bottled the quali completely and then I think, oh no. But the race pace was insane, I think. In the practice it was not so good. The quali pace was a lot better, but I don't know. In the lobby the car feels a lot better, so I'm really happy.
It was a lot better, and you had a lot more speed as well than Campbell. I think Montana mentioned in the comment section you were 8 kilometers an hour quicker down the straight.
Yeah, I drive a 12 8-wing, and I can see in the quali, in the speed trap that I have 8 kilometers more, and yeah, then I realized that I think no one can catch me on the street.
It seemed that way, because I think it was, lap 4, and I was like, he's got too much pace, he's going to have to go for the move now and apply the pressure right from the front, and that's exactly what you did with Campbell. Campbell, though, to be fair, did keep you honest. Were you worried at all about him coming back at the later stage of the race?
Yeah, the tyre wear was really bad from my side, but I know Montana tell me all the time that Campbell is pressing his battery for his life, so I'm relaxing and say, okay, drive normal, keep the battery on a high temperature. Keep the battery in a high percent status, and then keep driving to the end.
It was really easy, really comprehensive, as I say. Mark, coming across to you, any questions?
Yeah, I suppose, how easy did it look? Well, it looked quite easy in the last few laps, but I did notice, obviously, with that 3/10 buffer, you must have had in the back of your mind thinking if there's one mistake, then that kind of brings you back into DRS. So, congrats on that. But do you think you're going to be able to deal with the pressure to potentially mount a title challenge this season?
Yeah, I don't know. When I look to the tracks, it would be difficult. I'm driving on a controller, and there are tracks like Monaco, Canada. Yeah, I don't know. But I think I can manage it in the top 3. That's my goal for the first season. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, good man. Good stuff.
Interesting.
Well done again.
Yeah, interesting stuff indeed. And Sally, before you go, final question from me. We have got the calendar. Let me get it up. China next week, first sprint race of the season as well. How do you think you're going to get on around there?
I love China, to be honest. So I hope that I can win there. But yeah, the other drivers are amazing. I see the quali pace and think, wow, they are so fast. But yeah, let's see. I think it would be a tricky one. So top 4, top 3. I don't know.
Yeah, you've got to watch out for one man that certainly finished on the podium, and it wasn't the man that was behind you. It was Nathan is very quick around China, so just watch out for him, letting his game plan go completely. But Sally, go and enjoy evening.
Thank you.
Very welcome indeed. We can now speak to the man, of course, who finished in P2 and pushed his battery literally all the way on the end of that race. It is Mr. Kevior Campbell, and Campbell, in the end, P2 from you. Probably not the result you were hoping for, given that Sally's pace was so quick.
He was just too quick in a straight line. I couldn't recharge enough battery in time before he bolted. Like, that whole second stint was just never quite enough to get in range. I didn't have enough battery. I couldn't save enough before Sally would save more and then could deploy more, and I was just fighting a losing battle in a way. Even though I had a lap pressure tyres, it would only help in the slow corners, and out those corners, once he's got the power down, he would have usually more battery and could just take off. So yeah, I should have ran less downforce on the car, but I don't know how quick people are going to be before the race, so I just have to think about that next week maybe. But
still though, a P2 finish from you around Britain, a track that you've been good at in the past, you still must be happy.
Yeah, I'm happy. I sound quite bogged down and maybe negative about the result, but it's good to be P2. It's just starting on pole, pulling the lap out was nice, obviously. I mean, I think Sally was on for pole and then made a mistake on his final run, but no, it's a good start to the season, and I'm glad to have not started the season poorly, as I've done many times before.
Yeah, definitely so, and obviously you've had the perfect wingman, well, not really a wingman, because he wasn't really behind you for much of the race, in Nathan, but Mercedes and Ferrari, I believe, are going next week into China, level on points in terms of the constructors. So, is it early on to say that you are a constructors team looking to try as well and gain on the Mercedes guys?
I think next week, well, I've never went well at China before. It will take a lot of it'll probably take mixed conditions for me to be anywhere next week. To be honest, I've never enjoyed driving China. Being on a wheel doesn't really favour it, some would say. So I'll give it a shot, but I think next week you might see me and Nathan the other way around, regardless of where we finish.
It'll be very interesting to see. I know Nathan is certainly quick around China. Mark, any questions?
Yeah, I thought you would potentially get the win tonight after getting some elite practice with people like me. But I suppose, do you think you can win this title? There's a lot of good drivers around, but you've picked up good points all. So what are your thoughts? You think you've got a shot at it?
Well, what I will say is, a couple of seasons back I had 26 points lead with 2 races to go, and I said there's a chance I can win it. I didn't win it, so I'm not saying anything till it's over.
Don't really blame me. But well done, and I'm now really scared to use the setup I nicked off you on TT, because I'm probably going to get swallowed up on the straight.
I've not touched TT in a while, so you've got something that's out of date.
That's fine. It's fine. It's like me, I'm out of date anyway. So, but well done on your second.
Thank you.
And we will now come to the man, of course, who finished in P3, and it is Mr. Kevior Nathan. And Nathan, in the end, P3 from you. You must be happy with the result, given how the front two were absolutely miles ahead.
Yeah, I've kind of already turned into Paris, because there's not really much else I could do. Which, yeah, I mean, obviously, happy that me and Lewis have managed to get off to a good start. But yeah, no, quali messed up. Had to do 2 runs on the final runs. So yeah, was actually quite almost relieved that I started P6. And then yeah, got J. Cole and Jawbroom off the line. And then after that, it was just kind of, it was very evident quite quickly that it was going to be between Sally and Lewis and then me and Jensen. And then obviously the strategy kind of played out better. So yeah, it turned into just kind of like a management race, really.
Yeah, it turned into a management race. Obviously, you had Jensen right on the back of you as well into the first pit stops. What was the reaction for you with Sally obviously putting in front, and then Jensen, I think, coming in? Was it Jensen? No, not Jensen coming in behind. And then you reacted, I think, to Sally coming in, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we were obviously with Lewis in front. It was whichever way around Lewis wanted to do it. So obviously he wanted to go lap 15, so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go lap 14, and then thankfully Sally pit the same lap as me, so it allowed me to like break Jensen's theory, because both the Mercedes today, like their straight line speed was ridiculous. I know when Jensen was doing DRS, like I used like 30% and still just like couldn't get past. So yeah, I was actually quite thankful that Jensen like went the extra lap, and then yeah, after that it was just a case of trying to keep a consistent and non-penalty race, which actually happened for once.
Yeah, non-penalty race indeed, and obviously we were mentioning that 3 seconds could flick either way, because I'm not sure if you knew that Jensen had a 3-second penalty behind you, and I think Campbell had picked up 2 warnings. He also had a 3-second penalty, so there was every chance that either one of them, they picked up a 3-second penalty, you could have actually gained or actually lost a position.
Yeah, obviously I picked up 2 warnings, I think, by lap 16, so I was a bit hesitant then, but yeah, obviously Campbell and Sally were like miles down the road, and then Jensen was being not harassed but being put under pressure by Izzat. So yeah, it was just a case of just trying to keep it on the track, I guess.
Yeah, kept it on the track, and a P3 finish for you, certainly very good to witness. Mark, any questions?
One question about China. Have you got any weird and wonderful camera angle strategies?
I was thinking about it when I realised China's the second race. I might have to bring some weird camera changes back. I mean, it worked in season 5, so yeah, maybe try it again. But no, at the moment, no.
Driving these cars compared to those cars, it feels like a ticking time bomb anyway. So changing anything is probably not advisable. But no, well done on third, and yeah, hopefully, I'm not going to lie, guys, hopefully we'll have an interesting race next week, because that was not the best. We'll see. I'm sure you 3 don't care about that.
Yeah, the start was it was a bit interesting, it seemed, but
well, yeah, it made a kind of it turned half the grid into an LMP2 race. Basically gone, unfortunately. But yeah, well done. Just to say, finally, the only last one from me is just well done to Gary for scoring as many points as his teammate who did D3 commentary again. I think that's well done. And
final thing from me, Nathan, as well, about that race start. Did you actually mean to go down the inside at turn 3?
Oh yeah, I obviously messed up the group position, so was on the back foot there. But you know, I knew J. Cole would probably be a bit tentative, so I was kind of a bit more aggressive then, and luckily managed to avoid Jensen because I was very close to just wiping him out. So yeah, as long as I was within I think it was 3 tenths, I was always gonna have a go down the inside, because I knew J. Cole's race pace wouldn't be amazing. So yeah, it was just a case of trying and get in front of him in the safest way possible.
Yeah, and it was certainly move of the season, at least for now. It's move of the season. It was fantastic to witness. Nathan, go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you both for comms.
Very welcome indeed, and that rounds us off very nicely for our top 3 interviews. Thank you, Sally, Campbell and Nathan, for your time here tonight. Fantastic to hear from them, of course. And of course, next week, Mark, we go into China, Nathan's favourite hunting ground, of course, there from season 5 at least. How are we going to witness the battle develop into China? Because I think China compared to Silverstone, you can't really draw a comparison. They're 2 completely different tracks.
Yeah, completely. One favours wheel drivers, i.e. Silverstone slightly more, but the China's a very pad-heavy track. So it will flip everything on its head, different skill sets to use, different types of tractions over different types of corners. So will be interesting. I think we won't have the same top three. I think that's fair to say.
I hope not. I hope we get a different top three, and hopefully we get some consistency in terms of the driving as well. And hopefully no lunges like into Village and the loop like we saw, of course, on lap 1 tonight here at Silverstone. Hopefully nobody diving it into the hairpin either in China next week as well. But that rounds us up very nicely indeed for Division 1. Round 1 of the championship here in Britain is done. China, of course, next week. The sprint race up and coming very soon. But, of course, we've got more action to come in around 18 minutes' time. It is Mr. Kivior Killer and J. Cole taking to the action, of course, for Division 2. And then again for Division 4, it is Packer and Verstappen, I think, for Division 4, if I'm not mistaken. It's a bit weird in the commentary team. Verstappen normally on Division 2, normally keeping up on my toes, certainly in for the D2 commentary. But, obviously, you're racing in D4, Mark. What can you expect from the performance of you tonight?
This could be the return of some form, hopefully. But if I can keep it on a track, if I can keep it facing the right way, I might do all right. But tune in, might be worth a look. It's a very different grid as well. We've lost a lot of the quicker guys, so a bit more scrappy, I suspect.
Yeah, well, if we witness and lap 5, if I tune in, lap 5 of the race, and Mark's already out the race, then I know it hasn't gone well. But there we are.
Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. If it does, that's fine. I'll have tea early. It's fine.
Yeah. Tea and food and drink and everything else comes in. I think better off than racing for an hour and a half around Silverstone, that is for sure. We're going to round off here, though. We're going to get you prepared, of course, for Division 2 and Division 4 coming up, as I say, in around 15 minutes' time. Myself and Mark will see you, of course, next week for the first sprint race of the season in China. But for myself and Mark, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.